Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Minnesota Vikings are back in the playoffs, so which demons will haunt them out of the postseason this time around? Also, the Lions' status as NFC favorites has taken a massive hit. And the MVP is Lamar Jackson. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
The Minnesota Vikings were supposed to just be playing around this season, just playing some ball. And damn, they've been playing some ball. 7 straight wins. And still very much in the mix. Now controlling their own destiny in the NFC. Luke Braun always controls his own destiny, host of Locked On Vikings. After a Monday night performance where, look, it's the Bears. You can't take too much out of all of this, but you still want to see the Vikings look like this as they head down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, you want to see them frustrate the Bears and have this. I mean, Joe Buck was bored by the third quarter. That's exactly what you want in a Monday night game. You're at home. You know, you don't want the second time you play a team in a given year can always get weird. They always figure out something new. They get something there. So to have that one just be a basically no drama, nothing, you know, they made a couple plays and the Vikings made 10 times as many. And you walk out of there with a relatively easy win. Feels pretty good. Tough down the stretch now. Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit, going to be tough. But yeah, technically they win all those out. They're in a great spot for the 1 seed. Technically there's some strength of victory nonsense that could happen with them and the Eagles if the Eagles also win out. But pretty much they control their own destiny.
Offensively in this game, for all of the outstanding skill talent that this team has and for all the magic that Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold have conjured this season, 30 points, you're going to look at it and go, yeah, the offense played great, but it was kind of a slog here at time, 4.6 yards per play, just 329 total yards in this one. Is this kind of just who the offense is at this point? They're going to look great sometimes, and it's kind of be a variance game?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their good days and their bad days, right? This is what the bad day for the Vikings offense has
30
looked
points
like.
Against a pretty good defense.
Yeah, well, and the Bears are a pretty good defense. I will also give you that, like, there were a couple of penalties that were really key that were more, just Chicago making mistakes and sort of bailing them out. But also, I mean, they got out of a whole bunch of third and longs with just explosiveness. And that's what this offense is. They chase explosives all day long. They're looking for chunks, which is a lot of, sometimes that brings you first down, second down, and suddenly it's 3rd and 10. But an explosive can get you out of that. And that's been the thesis of the Vikings. Sam Darnold, I think, was a little amped. Monday Night Football. He's going to the playoffs for the first time in his career. Maybe a little excited, threw some high. He's usually more accurate than that. And I mean, you had like a nasty Justin Jefferson drop. You never see that. So they had some uncharacteristic mistakes, but they don't play perfectly down to down. Who does? And if you're going to see a good day from the Vikings offense, that was last week when they hung 42 on the Falcons. Bad day was this one. And yeah, they did score still 6 of the 10 times that they had the ball. And a couple of those were more about, blowout mode, just killing clock.
How do you try and I mean, you were in it day to day, so it's different from your perspective, but nationally, my perception of it anyway is that Minnesota is not considered to be in the class with the Lions and the Eagles. How do you try and stack them up with the rest of the NFC right now?
Well, I think the NFC is a 4-team race. I think there's those two and then us two. And that's kind of what it is. The Packers are white hot right now too. Yep. So everybody else will also play, but I think the NFC winner's coming out of those 4. But I don't know if that's the case anymore with the narrative. If you listen to the way that the Monday Night Football narrative was, it was, hey, these guys do have 11 wins. And the narrative was almost about how they're not getting talked about enough. And by doing that, they were talking about
on the network that only talks about everything, But,
yeah, well, and here's the difference. If you watched the first Vikings-Bears game, that the narrative in that one was about how Caleb Williams was supposed to show up and this was supposed to be his breakout day, and how, oh my God, he's missing passes. This is so weird. He's doing bad. This is so weird. And everything was from the Bears' perspective. You barely got it. They barely even talked about how Justin Jefferson got shut down in that game, which it turned out to be a really big narrative. In this one, it was a lot more about, hey, look, Sam Darnold's going to make a lot of money. Good for him. Yeah. And a lot about what Justin Jefferson's doing, and look at the playoff picture and where the Vikings are, and now they control their own destiny and all that. So I think the narrative has turned around a little bit, and people are recognizing, 12-2 Vikings, 12-2 Lions, 10-4 Packers. There's your NFC North, and then the Eagles. That's your NFC.
Do they feel undeniable to you?
I think there are 3 teams in the NFC that can deny them. I'll put it that way.
No, I mean like they're too good to deny that they're good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's felt that way for a little bit. Yeah. For a little bit to me. You rattle off 5 in a row and then you fall off a little bit. You lose 2 games in 5 days. But then, taking care of business against bad teams, but also, just putting a dunking on the division leading Falcons. And now they're no longer leading the division. And, squeaking that one out against Arizona and this game too, where it's like you can kind of not have your best day and still win. And in some cases, not have your best day and win comfortably. So when these guys put it all together, they can go toe-to-toe with absolutely anyone in the league and become a challenge, I think, for anybody in the league. You just have to get, all 3 phases together at the same time at the right time.
You can stay up to date all year on the Minnesota Vikings by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Vikings on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Your Locked On Sports Today. Coming up, the Lions' status as the best team in the NFC, maybe in the NFL, took a hit. Before we get to why, Kirk Cousins tried to get right on Monday night. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more near you. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Kirk Cousins has been B-A-D with a capital B lately. That is bad. The Raiders were just what the doctor ordered for a get-right game. And then
Falcons play it safe and almost blow it in a 15-9 win over the Raiders on Monday Night Football. I'm Aaron Freeman with Locked On Falcons. Why didn't the NFL flex this game off of Monday night? We'll never know. But in a super conservative, ugly performance from the Falcons, they win it. Special teams defense did their job, but the offense left a lot to be desired. Kirk Cousins broke his 4-game streak without a touchdown, tossing a 30-yard pass to Drake London in the first quarter, but then threw a pick on the first pass of the third quarter. The run game looked fine, and the Falcons break their losing streak. That's what matters. But if you are looking for a performance that would inspire confidence that this team is going to run the table and keep their diminishing playoff hopes alive, this was not the game for you. For more coverage of the Atlanta Falcons taking a dump on our hopes and dreams, make sure you follow Locked On Falcons, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain, according to reports out of Kansas City. The Chiefs ran some tests Monday to confirm the injury and reveal the diagnosis, while also saying it is not considered serious. Kansas City in the middle of an 11-day stretch where they will play 3 games. They face the Texans on Saturday and then the Steelers on Christmas Day. Mahomes was removed from the Chiefs' 21-7 win over the Cleveland Browns on Sunday midway through the fourth quarter after being hit while throwing a 4th down pass on the play. Mahomes was dragged down from behind while also getting hit high from 2 Browns defensive linemen. And in offseason Major League Baseball news, the Orioles added their first starting pitcher of the offseason in Tomoyuki Sugano.
He has never thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball. He will technically be a rookie in 2025 when he pitches for the Orioles, despite the fact that he is 35 years old. I'm going to guess he is going to be the oldest rookie in the majors next year. But who is Tomoyuki Sugano? Well, first of all, he is one of the most decorated pitchers in NPB history. That is Nippon Professional Baseball, the Japanese professional league, widely regarded as the second best professional league in the world, behind, of course, Major League Baseball. And Sugano has had a fantastic career. First came up with the Yomiuri Giants, basically the most decorated franchise in that league at age 23 in 2013, and since then has pitched 12 years in NPB and has been dominant. In his 12 seasons, he's thrown just shy of 1,900 career innings, and he has a 2.45 career ERA in Japan.
Aiden Hutchinson has long been on injured reserve, but the Lions just added a few defensive starters and David Montgomery to that list. Things are getting bleak, as Locked On Lions host Matt Derry discussed on a recent podcast.
Today has been awful if you're a Detroit Lions fan. Just awful. Number one, the Lions lost yesterday to the Bills. Look, 12-2, still atop the NFC, still controls their own destiny. I am all for discussing the fact that this football team, despite all of these injuries, can still finish 15-2. I believe that. But more injuries today, 2 more starters on defense, the 2 guys on the defense you could least afford to lose, seriously, are now out for the year. David Montgomery out for the year. Like, when is this, going to end here? This is horrible. Horrible. And this franchise has scratched and clawed for the last 4 years under Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell to get to a point where they're a Super Bowl contender. And now they have no players left. We'll get into that. PFF grades from yesterday's debacle at Ford Field when the Lions lost to the Bills, and also a call of the day. If you want to be our call of the day, hit us up on our SpeakPipe voicemail system at speakpipe.com/Derry podcast page. Hope everybody had a decent Monday. It was raining. It was gross. This has been kind of the feeling all day. And it started early in the day when reports started circulating in that, Aleem McNeil tore his ACL. Arguably the Lions' best defensive player with Aiden Hutchinson out. He is the man in the middle of that defense. He's so important at the point of attack. He's a guy that is unblockable. I think was having a Pro Bowl season. Aleem McNeil's season is done. Non-contact injury, planted his foot on the turf there at Ford Field. You could tell coming off the field he was so angry, mad, because he knew his season was over. That poor guy is a stud. And now he won't even be ready for the start of next year after tearing his ACL here in December. An absolute killer loss for this team. Then, to make matters worse, the Lions' number 1 cornerback, a guy playing for a free agent contract, Carlton Davis, fractured his jaw. Look, let's say the Lions make the NFC Championship game. There's a chance, Dan Campbell said today, that Carlton Davis could come back, but he's not coming back. They're wiring his jaw shut. He's not going to be able to work out. I highly doubt we're going to see Carlton Davis again this season. Maybe the Super Bowl if the Lions make it, but that's an enormous loss again for this defense. Carlton Davis over the last 6-7 games was the highest rated cornerback on PFF. He had been playing very, very well. A veteran player with great leadership, just, took over the one side of the field, did a great job. Really, started kind of the year slow, but started to come on and play really good football. He's done for the year. So who knows who's going to step in at cornerback right now, because Khalil Dorsey broke his leg. He's out for the year too. Lions are down now, not 1, but 2 cornerbacks. It's so bad out there. Jerry Jacobs is on Twitter basically saying, waiting for an opportunity. Did the phone ring, and are the Lions really bringing Jerry Jacobs back? You might as well get Bobby Price a call too. Where are Dixon and Minifield? Can they come out of retirement? This is ridiculous.
You can stay up to date all year on the Detroit Lions by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Lions on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, Lamar Jackson should be the MVP. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. And the NBA Cup basketball can give you some good value. The Thunder go up against the Bucks for the NBA Cup championship. OKC favored by 5 over Giannis and company with the total set at 216.5. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Our friends over at FanDuel have Josh Allen as the prohibitive favorite to be the NFL MVP. Locked On NFL host Tony Wiggins disagrees.
I'm going to be controversial today, and it's not really controversial. They say numbers don't lie, but they don't tell the whole story, right? Well, there's a race between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen that everyone has conceded and given to Josh Allen because, for one reason, he's a very, very good player and he's playing lights out. But I don't think the MVP is a team award, but I kind of get the feeling that's where this is headed.
Yeah, well, I think that's how it always has been, at least recently, where it's not necessarily a team award, it's a quarterback award. And who's the best quarterback on the best team? That's how you are able to win it. I would disagree, though. There's not a race, according to our friends over at FanDuel, because right now Josh Allen is minus 900 to win the MVP, while Lamar Jackson is at plus 750, seemingly right now a long shot with 3 weeks left in the season.
Yeah, I know it, man. So one of my pet peeves, I'm going to listen to Kevin Ostrak and tell you just how dynamic Lamar was yesterday. But one of my pet peeves is the whole, I know you see it on social media, it says one got to go. Like they'll put 4 GOATs up, 4 people that are like Mount Rushmore, and one got to go. So what happens is you start finding the person whose credentials you are actually going to diminish. But the fact that they're even in the poll says that there's nothing to be diminished about them being there. But that's what's going to happen now. It's going to be, I'm going to prove my side by talking bad about the other side. So Lamar Jackson is projected in a 17-game season to throw. This blew my mind, man. His numbers this year are obviously way better than last year's numbers. He's on pace to throw for 4,300 yards, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and the dude has over 700 yards rushing. He's actually better than he was when he won any of those 2 other MVPs. And I know that ain't Josh Allen's fault that his team is winning and doing, but it's almost getting a feeling like we got to all have groupthink. I think Emmanuel Acho said we should all come to the conclusion that we ain't got to all come to nothing.
Right.
I'm just telling you why does everybody need a whole bunch of people to go with them when they want to say something?
Here's the thing. Sometimes in sports, recognition, I would say often in sports, recognition comes a year or 2 too late. Sometimes in an undeserved spot, a player makes the Pro Bowl or an all-pro team or is an NBA All-Star a year after, really, it should have been. And it's the season that puts them on the map that really ultimately earns them the award. Josh Allen deserved to be the MVP last year. He is who I voted for in the PFWA awards. I thought he was the most deserving candidate last year. Lamar Jackson has been outstanding, scintillating. He was excellent again on Sunday. It seems weird to me that because everyone watched against the mash unit of the Lions defense, that Matt Derry just talked about, that Josh Allen would become the prohibitive favorite when Lamar Jackson threw 5 touchdowns and the Ravens beat the crap out of the Giants, which is what they're supposed to do. Here's the thing, though. Part of this is the eye test. When you watch Josh Allen this season, just like when you watched Josh Allen last season, he does things no one else can do because of his stature, because of his talent. That's true of Lamar Jackson as well. But when you watch him against Detroit, maybe the best team in the league, just absolutely dominate them, control the game. He would run 100 miles an hour to his right, slow down, direct traffic, chaos all around him, and then throw the ball 40 yards down the field on a line, with the understanding that we know he doesn't have superstar receivers out there either. This offense only works because Josh Allen is Josh Allen. And oh, by the way, his legs, much like Lamar Jackson's, especially this time of year, are a huge part of what separates him from the other top quarterbacks in the league. Josh Allen deserved to be MVP last year when Lamar Jackson won it. Maybe Lamar Jackson deserves it this year. Josh Allen is going to win it. And that seems fair to me, that they each net out with one, because each of the last 2 seasons, including this one, they probably both deserved it. And finally, Michael Vick could be back in football very soon. He met with Sacramento State about their vacant head coaching position on Monday. The school is elevating to FBS, and reports say they have $50 million in NIL funds to spend. Vick was also interviewing with Norfolk State for its head coaching job, according to a report from the Virginian Pilot. Vick's hometown of Newport News is not far from Norfolk State. It's geographically 2 options that could not be further apart, but when you want to coach football, you got to be open to moving anywhere. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports Today, will it be the Thunder or the Bucks hoisting the NBA Cup? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.